You must have no end of questions, Guardian. In its dying breath, the Traveler created the ghosts to seek out those who can wield its light as a weapon. Guardians to protect us and do what the Traveler itself no longer can.
Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another episode in my Destiny Basics series, your guide to getting started in the Destiny universe. If you're new to Destiny and have been following along with this series, then by now you'll know we've covered the 3 different classes and how their respective subclasses alter the way you play, how leveling works in Destiny, the difference between XP and light, and the quickest way to reach the top, the different vendors that populate the tower, Destiny's social hub, as well as a bit on armor and weapon stats, and just last week I broke down all of Destiny's currencies and explained what they are for and how you can farm them should you need to. So by now you should have a pretty good grounding in all things Destiny, and should be approaching that all-important end game. And that is our topic for today. End game content and what there is for you to do when you reach the top. So let's begin. So you've completed the story missions, you've hit level 20, you've leveled up your chosen faction, and I would imagine you are now wearing some or all of their gear, which puts you somewhere in the realms of level 26 to level 31. Well, now it's time to take that final leap, the jump to level 32. Or if you're watching this in the future, then it may well be the jump to 34, 44, 104, who knows? Either way, now we can talk about raids. At this moment in time, there are 2 raids in Destiny. The Vault of Glass, which was the first one, and that begins at level 26, although you are able to enter it at a lower level. It's set on Venus and will see you taking on the Vex. Then you have Protozen Raid, the new one that came with the Dark Below expansion. It begins at level 30, is set on the moon, and will see you going up against armies of Hive. So firstly, what exactly is raiding? Well, in a wider sense, outside of Destiny, but remaining in the MMO framework, raids are usually large-scale dungeons that allow larger teams or groups of people to work together to take down the enemies and bosses that reside within, and in turn score some pretty epic loot. The principle is the same in Destiny. If you've never raided before, then the largest group or fire team you will have ever experienced in a PvE environment is 3. 3 people for strikes, 3 people for missions, 3 people for patrols. Sure, if you go into the Crucible it's different, but we're talking about PvE right now. Player versus environment. Raids allow fire teams of up to 6 Guardians to work together to overcome the trials that await them. And raids are by far the biggest challenge in Destiny. You'll encounter stronger enemies and bosses than ever before, and the raid itself will take you far longer than any strike or mission you've ever tackled to date. Sure, some experienced players can complete raids in short timeframes now, but know that whenever a new raid comes out, even the best players are often in there trying to work out how to overcome the challenges for hours on end. See, raids are often more than just killing whatever stands in your way. There's usually some sort of mechanic in place that requires an alternate way of thinking, perhaps even an element of puzzle solving, so you should see these as the ultimate test for your Guardian. But that's enough of me telling you what raids are, plus I don't want to spoil them for you for those of you that haven't experienced them yet, because they truly are one of the best experiences in Destiny. So now let's talk about why you should be interested in them. You'll know that through vendors and standard legendary gear alone, you can only get as far as 1 level below the level cap. Back before the Dark Below came out, that was level 29, and now with the Dark Below here, that's level 31, and in the future when the House of Wolves comes out, that'll likely be level 33. If you want to reach the max level, you need raid gear. Raid gear and exotics are, for the most part, the only way you can hit level 32. Recent Iron Banner events have included certain pieces of top tier gear that also facilitate this, but for the sake of this video, and based on the fact that the Iron Banner comes and goes, let's just say you need to focus on raid gear. 4 pieces of fully leveled raid gear will get you to level 32, so will 3 pieces and a fully leveled exotic. The choice is yours. When raiding, gear acquisition is random, which means you might be lucky and get everything you want in your first raid. Very unlikely, but there is a chance. Or you might be super unlucky and raid for weeks and still never snag that final piece you need. But that is the game you have to play. When you defeat certain key sections or bosses in a raid, your entire party will be awarded some loot. Some players will get materials such as shards and energy, some players will get armor, some players will even get weapons. But whether you are the one that gets the armor and weapons is simply down to the random number game. Also, Destiny works around a weekly cycle. Tuesdays in Destiny are the weekly reset. I'll speak more about this in a future video, but just know for now that you can only obtain loot once a week from a raid on the same character. If you work your way through and receive nothing, you'll need to wait until the following Tuesday before you can attempt it again on the same character. If you have multiple characters, however, you can obviously attempt it multiple times. And in addition to this, raids have two modes, normal and hard. In a hard raid, you will encounter stronger enemies, and if you die, you cannot respawn until that particular section or checkpoint has been completed. But, no risk, no reward. There are certain items that can only drop in hard mode. In the Vault of Glass, the helmet only dropped from the final boss on hard, and in Crotus in Raid, you can only get primary weapons from the hard mode raid. So as you can see, there's value in doing both of them. But, there's more to Destiny's endgame than just raiding. If you open up the Director, Destiny's orbital map, these icons on the left become your weekly endgame focus. At the top you have the daily Crucible playlist. Completing this will award you with an XP bonus, which is always nice to have. Then below that you have the daily Heroic story mission. This is simply a harder version of one of the story missions with the added bonus that you receive XP, crafting materials, Vanguard marks, and sometimes even an engram. And then below that you have the weekly Heroic, which I spoke about in my last video. Completing this will award you with strange coins. And lastly you have the weekly Nightfall, a level 30 version of a strike mission with certain modifiers to make it even more difficult, and with the additional added difficulty that if your entire team dies you will return to orbit. However, again, the principle of no risk, no reward still applies. Completing a Nightfall has the chance of awarding you with legendary and sometimes even exotic armour and weapons. And beyond the weekly activities, the rest is up to you. Simply build your collection of exotics, rank up factions, and help out your friends. And that is Destiny's endgame in a nutshell. Don't forget Crucible, of course. Once you're at the top, it's time to show everyone else you mean business. And on that note, that brings me to the end of this week's episode. Hopefully you found it helpful, hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and leave a like, and if you're not already part of the Arekkz Gaming Nation, then hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. Check back next Monday for the next episode in my Destiny Basics series, and check back daily for more Destiny videos. If you have any questions, then let me know in the comments down below, or you can ask me on Twitter, which is on screen right now. And other than that, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.